Hey, I'm Ron Drotos from KeyboardImprov.com, and welcome to our journey through the real book number 168, which is the tune I'll Never Smile Again. It's the 168th tune in the real book. Yes, I've numbered them all. I'm going through them one by one, in order, one a week for 8 years, 400 tunes, about 50 a year. It's to challenge myself and to share the context of these tunes and at least some of the ways to think about them. This is the kind of jazz piano lesson that I used to love to take when I studied with Billy Taylor, Harold Danko, some other greats along the way too. And I'd love to ask questions about the tunes themselves because it really helps us learn jazz standards when we're not just looking at notes on the page. This was from the swing era, so it really helps to get a sense of what music was like in the swing era, and then we can either do that or not do that, but at least we know and we've been informed, so that's what I really love. Here's a Sonny Rollins story I just read on the internet. So apparently at one point, Sonny Rollins, the great tenor sax player, at one point, I'm kind of guessing 50s or 60s when he was still playing clubs, but I don't really know. At one point, some young tenor player challenged him, said, "Can I come in and sit in with your band and we'll have a little, tenor battle kind of thing." And I guess Sonny, got a sense that this kid just was a very fast player, like Sonny was too. But Sonny's thinking in his mind, okay, well, what am I going to do here to really just deal with this in a way that, teach the kid a lesson, but at the same time, make sure I win this tenor battle, right? So the kid gets up there and he's expecting, some real fast blues, or like Tenor Madness with Sonny Rollins and John Coltrane, something where you could just kind of go, just whip all over, the notes on his sax. And Sonny counts off a ballad. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just plays the most lyrical, heartfelt melody. And the kid didn't know what to do. He just left the stage. Kid didn't know what to do. So that's how, and I wrote a blog post once on how do you beat Art Tatum in a cutting contest. And that, I'm not saying I could beat Art Tatum, but basically that's what you do. You reframe the contest. You're not trying to compete on fast notes and all that. You play something from the heart, because not everybody can. And that's what this tune is. I'll Never Smile Again. I associate it with vocal groups because I used to accompany a lot of vocal quartets that did swing era music, and they would do this. But it's also a great vocal tune and occasionally instrumental as well. So that's what I thought I would do. So many times when we play piano, we're trying to impress, whether it's somebody else or ourselves, and how do we get beyond that and really play from the heart? Which usually means we're playing better, right? We put all that other stuff aside. So that's my goal here, just to play from the heart, see what happens. Just one note. The real book starts out with F minor 7, the 2 chord. And then the original tune, I believe, I haven't looked at the sheet music in a long time, but I believe it was just F minor 7 for one full measure. That's the way I've always played it. They put in a B9 sharp 11. Which is a nice sounding chord. It's a tritone substitution in a way, and it goes down a half step to the 5 chord that comes next. But it's interesting because when you're dealing with a lyric, I don't want to get into that so much here. We cover this in so many, we'll come back to it. But basically, the lyrics are, I'll never smile again. That's one complete thought. I'll never smile again. Boom, right? And one chord, like it was originally written, I believe, it supports that. It just makes it feel, I'll never smile again. And then another chord and another thought for the lyric. The lyrics, the melody, and the harmonies work together, form a unit, perfect unit in this case. By putting in that substitute chord, smile again. You could argue that it kind of gives a little bittersweet quality to it that matches the lyric, but on the other hand, it interrupts the feeling at that point with this, what's going on there? If you're really into the lyric and sensitive to the lyric. It's interesting. So what I usually do when I play this is sometimes, I like it though, it sounds good. So sometimes I play it, and I'm saying this so you can do it too. sometimes just play the F minor 7 for the first measure. Or you could play the B7 on the last beat. So you get I'll Never Smile Again, one thought, chord, chord, into the 5 chord, the B flat. You know, so that thought ends, it comes to completeness, and then the chord, the substitute chord, the B9, actually helps you move on in harmonic progression. It's interesting, you know, and this is what people like Duke Ellington thought about when they were arranging, where to place those chords. It isn't just because it's in the real book doesn't mean it's the sort of baseline with which to create our interpretations. They put it in there. I'm not sure why. It's not always in there. But it sounds pretty good. But just know that there's other versions too. And they relate to the lyric, in my opinion. So here we go. From the heart, hopefully. We'll see. Oh, what I'm going to do here, I was thinking, I've been looking at a lot of Gil Evans arrangements lately, and I was thinking, what would Gil Evans do with those first 3 notes? Because we could just play them like that, right? Or we could make up an intro, but I'm thinking of just starting there. And I was thinking, that is beautiful, and Gil might do something like that. And you can play that from the heart, obviously, right? It's 3 beautiful notes. But I was kind of hearing something in my head that lead into this, like as it's I'll never smile, and it helps the emotion come out. And I'm just going to go up chromatically. It's F, so I'm counting, there's 3 notes, I'm counting down, E, E flat, D. So I'm going to play a D7, E flat, major 7, E7, and then it gets me up to the F. And I think it supports that emotion that I'm going for. It's not just putting in substitute harmonies for the sake of doing it, which can be fun too sometimes, but I think this really supports the lyric in a different way. Well, you know, I'm not sure where that ending came from. I never played anything like that on this before. It ended with just the sort of not seventh chords, right? Kind of triadic, but with these. Just some beautiful kind of tugging at your heartstrings in a very pure way. And I think that's. I'm just, probably comes from Aaron Copland or something, but you know, you hear people end with a triad sometimes. You know, Art Tatum wasn't afraid to use triads. Keith Jarrett. Listen to Bud Powell's Glass Enclosure, which was a really forward-looking jazz piece, and he ends with a whole section that sounds like French marching band music with triads and beautiful, beautiful piece. So anyway, the sky's the limit for our endings. So if you hear an ending that's a little different than usual, you know, go with it and see where it takes you. So what are the takeaways here? Play from the heart. Play from the heart. Also, you can use some substitute changes. You see along the way I threw in some other 6 chords or some diatonic passing chords along the way. If you hear them, and if it supports what you're trying to do with the music, by all means go for it. Hey, so this is great. We're going through the real book. Next week is I'll Remember April. And speaking of just people like Sonny Rollins and you know, that whole post-bop thing, they love these standards. So we'll revisit that kind of playing in the next week too. And thanks for being here. If you need any help with your playing, let me know. I've got a whole video course of hundreds of lessons that will take you to that next level in jazz in a step-by-step way, or via Skype or Zoom. Any way I can help you with your piano playing, let me know. And I'll see you next week.